Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria Q. Kane.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we are going to talk about Kanye West's nitrous oxide addiction, the viral road rage poop incident that was local to us, kids getting drunk at school, Apple Watch is saving people's lives, and a woman who amputates her perfectly healthy body parts. So all of that and more on today's episode. Why don't we get started with Kanye West?
So he is suing a Beverly Hills dentist for giving him too much nitrous oxide during a cosmetic procedure, which ultimately led to him forming an addiction. So he says.
All right, so he's been on Mother Knows Death a lot lately because obviously he seems to be having some kind of a mental crisis on Twitter with all of his outrageous tweets. And remember when he got those titanium teeth?
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about, right?
Yeah, and I'm also like, are they trying to argue this is what's wrong with him? Because this is going back to 2023, 2024, and his problems have been very public since at least 2009. So, like...
Well, listen, though, honestly, so let's talk a little bit about the lawsuit, because if it is true, it's, in my opinion, it's definitely warranted. So he was getting some custom titanium crown. I feel like we talked about that on here when he got that done anyway, but regardless, he was getting cosmetic dental work done. And apparently the dentist started giving him nitrous oxide at the office for that and giving him a lot. Like, I don't even honestly see in a situation when you're doing cosmetic dentistry why you would even need to give someone nitrous.
That's
like,
just laughing gas, right?
Yeah. But I don't see why you would need to, unless the person maybe has a lot of anxiety. Like, my kids got it one time because it's like a highly anxious situation and it just kind of chills you out to get the procedure. But that was when Lucia was like 6 years old and getting a cavity filled or whatever, something like that. So I don't really know the reason why they choose to give it to people or not, but he was getting it a lot just for getting this cosmetic procedure done. And that's kind of whatever. That's up to the doctor. But then shit started getting weird when Kanye said he was sending him full-size tanks that would be in the office to his house.
Yeah, and teaching him how to self-administer it.
Yeah. So that is completely medical malpractice to the fullest extent, as far as I'm concerned.
If it's true.
And he was saying that he was essentially getting him so addicted to it, because you can get addicted to it, that he was charging him and taking advantage of him and charging him $50,000 a month for this nitrous oxide. Now, this is kind of like a weird Matthew Perry situation, right? That the doctor is doing something with medications that they absolutely should not be doing at levels they should absolutely not be doing at. And we cover this all the time in the gross room with all these celebrity deaths with their VIP treatment and why they end up dying early all the time. It's because of shit like this. Because I 100% believe this. Because this dentist, if he's able to make $50,000 a month off of Kanye, off of something that doesn't cost anywhere near that much, they get special treatment. It happened with Michael Jackson, and I really think that this is completely possible. I don't think it's that outrageous. And I guess he's suing them now because he's saying that it's deteriorated his mental health, and really the symptoms that he's describing are, again, with long-term use of using nitrous. It could cause nausea, seizures, brain damage, and it could cause anxiety, depression, psychosis. So that could definitely explain a lot of these outrageous tweets he's been doing. And the thing is, like you said, he's kind of been off the rails since 2009, at least, you're saying?
Well, yeah. So
like, when was the first thing when he said the George Bush thing, and then he started with the Taylor Swift thing? Is that
I think the first really big problematic. I think the first problematic thing was the Taylor Swift. Like, that was the most public thing when in 2009 at the VMAs, she had won an award and he interrupted her speech and said Beyonce should have won the award instead of her. And that was the first time.
Listen, like,
It was the
honestly,
first public outburst.
okay, but like, honestly, he's probably right.
Okay,
Can we-
regardless if you're
Like,
right or not,
I don't
it's
consider
rude.
that to be it. Who cares though? It's not. He's just saying the truth. Like I don't know. I personally do not. I don't think that that's off the rails in my opinion. Like I
So-
think he's sitting there with his mouth shut and like I have to friggin' say something because this is out of control.
So if you were going to win an award for your accomplishment and somebody came up on stage and interrupted your acceptance speech and said another nominee deserved to win it, you don't think that's abnormal behavior?
I think it's abnormal behavior, but like at the same time, he's not wrong.
Listen, everybody talks shit behind everybody's back, but there's another like level of it where you're gonna go up on stage and make it a whole spectacle. I mean, this thing was televised, so I'm guessing behind the scenes he was having a lot of problems that weren't as public, and then this kind of really was the start of it that everybody started seeing. And you're just saying that you could see how this could explain some erratic tweets he's had recently. He's had those for 10 years. So,
but what I'm saying is that he already has a mood disorder. I think Kim Kardashian has said that he's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So this would just exacerbate the symptoms of it for sure. And you have to admit that more recently he's been like really, really, really off the rails. I mean, just with the horrible tweets that he's making and some of the things that he's saying about happened in his past and stuff that people wouldn't normally say out loud. Like, and I understand what you're saying about the Taylor Swift thing. Like that's not like a normal thing that somebody would do. And a lot of what he does is because when he does these outrageous things, it gets a reaction and it gets him views and it goes viral and everything like that. So you always have to keep that in perspective. But honestly, like him being on some kind of drug that affects the brain like this would clear things up a little bit as to what's happening with him.
Well, so last year when I was watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, they were getting like Botox on one episode and they had gotten laughing gas to get Botox.
What?
And apparently after this aired, it came out that this is a pretty common practice, and I've never heard of anybody getting it done for that.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. But that's like putting someone under general anesthesia to get tattooed. I mean, it's just like if you are that weak that you cannot get Botox in your forehead, then you just shouldn't get it. I mean, come on.
Well, I think they use it as a loophole to get high because they can't
Exactly.
otherwise do anything.
Because when you do that, it gives you like this sense of like calm and euphoria, and that's exactly this is why people get addicted to it. And but you can die from it. Actually, I mean, you've heard of kids doing whippets and stuff. It's the same exact thing with the whipped cream cans. You can die. It could cause asphyxia, and you can die from it. And it when your normal oxygen that you're breathing in is bringing oxygen to all of your organs in your body, and then you're replacing it with nitrous, it's really, really bad for you, and it could cause permanent brain damage, paralysis, and it could kill people. So the fact that he had a tank like that is, I mean, it's so outrageous to me, but I really, really believe it because we've done hundreds of celebrity death dissections, and I can't tell you how many times you hear of something like this, that they go above and beyond for these famous people and just do things that are they get like starstruck or something, and they just don't think straight, and they throw everything out the window that they've ever worked for to do these outrageous things for these celebrities, and it always ends up terribly.
Well, one of the most ridiculous things, this letter, I guess the letter is like an intent to sue letter. So one of the most ridiculous things it says about his wife, Bianca, is, quote, instead of enjoying a healthy married life, she was forced to witness Ye's physical and mental distress and deterioration. Like, take that out of it, and this is potentially a illegitimate claim, but he was going way downhill before this event even happened.
Yeah, and I think their marriage was too. I can't imagine that what's going on there is very healthy, but whatever. I don't really care about them. I care a lot about, I'm very interested in celebrities' deaths and just how doctors play a role in it. And God, knowing this, I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up dead. I mean, because like nobody is huffing out of a medical grade nitrous oxide tank. I mean, that's outrageous.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, so I've been dying to talk about this case with you since it happened. I don't know if we've ever told you guys this, but Maria and I, we talk every single day, but we don't talk about any of the stories because we want you guys to hear our genuine reaction to things. And sometimes we send each other things back and forth, but just so we know what we're going to talk about on the show, but we never discuss how we feel about these certain cases. And this particular one, when did this happen? Right after we recorded on Thursday?
Yeah, of course. It's
Friday?
always right after we wrap up.
Like, we should maybe start recording on Friday morning because I swear the craziest shit happens on Thursday nights. So anyway, yeah, so this happened and it was local to us and there was this whole thing. So why don't you get started with the story so we could talk about this?
Okay, so at first this video started going viral that was stemming from this road rage incident in Delco, which is Delaware County, Pennsylvania, very close to us. My husband is from there. And it showed this woman pooping on this other woman's car. The video is so ridiculous. Of course, it's like botched camera work, so you don't see that much.
And this is my biggest complaint all the time. There's people, if you want to be a citizen journalist, right, and you want to document this stuff, like, why can't you hold your camera straight and your phone straight to document it? It makes me want to vomit looking at this camera shaking so much. And like, if you're going to document it, do it right. That's all I have to say.
So after this woman poops on this other woman's car, the woman in the car that was pooped on calls her a fucking slut. And then the guy taking the video, in the most Delco accent I've ever heard, goes, "That bitch just shit on your car?"
Listen, like, I've never heard of anyone using their ass as a weapon. Like, the lady said that she got so pissed off in this road rage incident that she wanted to punch the lady. So instead, she just decided to shit on the hood of her car. And this is just like, first of all, who could just spontaneously shit like that? Like, and when you look at this shit, it's not even a turd. It's like a smear of colon blow all over the hood of this person's car. It looks like Golden's mustard. Like, it's how? Like, if you were just like, you pissed me off, I'm going to do this. Like, how did that even happen? What's happening there?
So later that night, I'm showing my husband the video and he's laughing. Like an hour later, I was like, "Oh, they released the mugshot," and I show him, and he laughed harder than I've ever seen him in my entire life. I've never seen him laugh this hard. He was crying. And he said, "I think I know that person." But it turned out it wasn't the person he thought he knew. But I almost peed all over my couch. We were laughing so hard about it.
That's
what, of course,
that's what Laura said too. Laura was like, Laura thought it was outrageous. Laura lives in Delco. Laura thought it was outrageous, and then I was like, dude, I think Ricky knows that chick, and she was like, I can't breathe. I'm peeing my pants. Like, oh my God.
we were joking about it over the weekend because we were with a bunch of his family at the wedding that are also from that area, and just everybody thought it was so funny. And then Ricky was making a joke that the father of the bride is this like extremely accomplished man, and he was like, "Well, what do I even talk to him about? Do I say I know the Delco Pooper?"
It's like a bonding moment for anyone that lives around here.
Yeah.
So wait. Do you know that this chick? So wait. I can't. I don't even know where to start here. So she goes by the name Shithead on Facebook. It's spelled SHYTHEAD.
There's no way that's true.
No, she goes by that name on Facebook. She's 44 years old, so she's a year younger than me. And she's an OnlyFans model that sells pictures of her feet for $7.99 a month.
Wow.
Okay?
No, the story just keeps developing.
Like, who is this person? Does she need to come on Mother Knows Best? Might need to find her. I'm sure we know somebody that knows her, like your husband, right? I I don't know. Like,
She said
seriously.
it wasn't her. So apparently she claimed it was a clean wipe, right? But it didn't look that clean from the
Yeah,
video.
she said her poop was clean and she didn't even have to wipe. And I'm like, that was definitely not a no wiper for sure. Like, and then we could get into talking about that. Like, first, I don't think there's any such thing as a no wiper. Even if you feel like you don't have to, there's always a situation where you could just clean it off just to be safe.
And she was wearing
Right?
like white
But this-
panties.
I just the whole situation like I understand like everybody's had diarrhea before where you're in the car, you're like, oh my God, if I don't get home right now, I'm going to explode. And it might just be that situation that she was driving and then someone pissed her off and she was like, you know what? F this. I'm going to just do this. I don't understand what was going through her mind. What my question is though, is that if her last name on her Facebook account is this shithead spelled with a Y, like, has she done things like this before, or is this just coincidental? Like, is she known for shitting places? There's a lot going on here. And then the $7.99 a month for selling feet, like, what's that about? Is that a thing? Because like, I should start doing that.
What
Everybody
are you
should
talking
do
about
that.
as a thing? Of course it's a
What
thing.
is it? But what is it? Like, are dudes like jerking off to it, or they like what's happening with the feet pictures?
Yes.
They just look at a picture of your feet and nothing else.
Well,
And it's $7.99 a month.
I think that some people that sell foot pictures or videos are like doing things with their feet in the videos to turn a person with a foot fetish on. But my argument is, why would you pay for pictures of people's feet when you could just go on Google and Google feet for free?
Do you think that she did this to try to go viral on social media, or like this was just
No, I
an
think
in the
this is
moment thing that she didn't plan?
If you've ever walked into Delaware County, entered that area, this
I've
100% makes
been.
sense for somebody that lives around there. I don't know. Do you not know about
Delaware County is a very weird place because it's just like there's a lot of that, but then there's a lot of like really beautiful areas. Like where Laura lives is like really freaking nice. Every
No, a
time I
lot of
drive
it-
over there.
A lot of it is beautiful, but some of the people there are just crazy. Like at first, this just said it happened in Pennsylvania, and then when it came out that it was in Delco, it was like, oh, makes sense. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Nobody even questioned that. Do you not know about WikiFeet?
No.
There's like a website called WikiFeet where they rate celebrities' feet on how attractive they are.
Oh my God. I need to look into this more for a side job, maybe.
You might be on there. You don't even know.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this. I mean, I just keep thinking if someone pooped on my car, how gross that would be. Because ultimately, like, the cops come, they write you up, they take her away, and then, like, you're responsible to get that cleaned up. And that's just, it is really just disturbing.
Well, let me tell you, I drive right into the car wash. But the police kept saying, everybody thinks this is funny, but we're taking it very seriously. So they found out who did it. She turned herself into police. And she's been charged with indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, creating a hazardous or physically offensive condition, and criminal mischief.
Also, depositing waste on a highway.
Wow.
It's
Was
like
she on a highway, though? She looked like she was in a neighborhood.
I don't know, but it seems like they were like, what is every single charge we could get this bitch on? Like they just were.
She wasn't embarrassed. She's smiling in the mugshot. She was laughing in the like news interview when they were following her when she was going in the back of the cop car.
You know, Gabe and I were talking this weekend about just how things every single year are just changing for the worst, just as far as like the way buildings are made and just nobody having any kind of pride or putting work into architecture and putting pride into the way they dress. Not that I dress anywhere near nice compared to how people used to dress when they went out. And you see all these, you ever see that Instagram account that's called like History in Color or something, and they like colorize the videos from the 30s, and it's just so cool to see people walking around New York City. Or sometimes you'll see a picture of like Atlantic City on the beach in 1915, and everybody's like super dressed up, and now I mean, now it's like you can't even get people to get out of their pajamas to go out. It's just so bad, right?
Well, I said that to you when you guys were on a trip and you were sending me pictures of the kids in these like really beautiful places, and they insist on wearing sweatpants everywhere.
Oh God, their dress, they're going to look back on all of our vacation pictures and like there's only so much energy because I don't want to upset them and get in a fight on vacation, but just like the way they dress is terrible right now. Um, but so we were talking about that, and then I said to Gabe, I was like, yeah, another weird thing too is like this whole like women not being afraid to like fart or poop. It used to be very especially. I mean, I'm not that old like compared to my mom or like a grandmother's age or something, but it used to be very taboo for women to talk about pooping and farting, and it was and now it's just like, how have we come in such a short period of time of a woman smiling and proud on the news that she took a shit on the hood of someone's car?
I mean,
Like
listen, I'm not embarrassed at all to talk about poop. We've talked about having cold blow and diarrhea a lot on
but
this
this is a
show.
medical show and we're all friends here. We're just talking because like this is real life. I understand that, but what I'm saying is like it used to just be. It's just interesting. Like our kids will tell us that someone farted at school and they laugh about it. And I was like, oh my God, when I was a kid, if someone farted, you were like ostracized for it. It was just, it's just such a different thing, right? And we've just come really far as women right now. Now we could, take shits on people's cars and be proud of it.
I mean, maybe we can make that old saying on some merch that say women don't poop. Because remember, that used to be like everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move on to this next set of stories. They're so messed up. So parents got this call from their toddler school minutes before dismissal to say that something was wrong with the 4-year-old. And when they got there, she was slobbering from her mouth and unresponsive. So they take her to the hospital and find out that she's drunk with a blood alcohol content of 0.29. That's 4 times over the legal limit. A 4-year-old.
I just can't imagine getting that call from the school and showing up and your kid the mom was saying that the kid like she couldn't wake up the kid and they said, "Yeah, you probably need to take her to the emergency room." Like what? And then find out that would oh my God, like that mom lost years of her life in that time period. Like what would you even think? Because surely no person in the world ever thinks that their child is drunk at school, right?
Well, no,
So
and it doesn't seem like it was straightforward, like from the alcohol we're used to consuming. They're thinking that it came from either like hand sanitizer or skincare products or perfume or something like that.
they have, as of right now, they have no idea how this kid got drunk. And it's when a kid's drinking something like hand sanitizer or because they smell appealing to some kids and they'll take it in or perfume or something like that. You have to consider that not only is the alcohol a potential toxin for the child, but also the other chemicals that are present in it that aren't meant to be ingested. So this kid was sick as hell, like in the ICU for a couple days. That's really scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary. So I mean, alcohol is a central nervous system depressant, and it could lead to respiratory depression and death. Like this kid could have died, and that's such a high volume of alcohol for such a little tiny body to have. And I mean, what do the parents do at this point? There has to be some kind of investigation. I don't even know. I feel like there should be an investigation with like the way that it went down at the nurse's office. Like, oh, you might want to take her to the emergency room. Like, you didn't recognize that this was like a serious problem, like a really, really serious problem earlier. I don't know. And no other kid got sick. It's just so weird.
Yeah, and like they also need to see if the daycare is just leaving things around that their kids are getting access to. I mean,
was it a daycare or was it in like a school? It said it was a school.
a school. So
Like she could have been in preschool at 4 years old, correct? Like
I mean, I want to say based on them thinking it's from, another product that it was hand sanitizer because those are in school and they're easily accessible because they want the kids to be using them. But you'd want to hope that when a kid tastes hand sanitizer, they don't like continue eating it because of how disgusting it is.
well,
But
you'd like to think that, but this next story is telling us that a mom brought Jello shots to a 5th grade class's party.
this
So
is ridiculous.
I can't even believe that these two stories are even back to back in the news. You know what else I wanted to just bring up because we just don't even talk about all of them? I see it so often when we're looking for stories for this show. A teacher always getting accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a child. it's like I feel like it's just getting worse, like off the hook. I heard a story this week about a fifth grade teacher was like texting the kid and said like, sorry, I got slime on you. Ew. Like that.
Why do they even have each other's phone numbers?
I don't know. I don't know. And like we could talk about that a whole other time, that a fifth grader shouldn't even freaking have a phone, but that's whatever. People could do whatever they want to do. But like what's going on right now that there's like this very lax like line of what's happening at school, and just teachers especially.
Well,
and it's female teachers too. It's not all male teachers. It's just so weird. And it's so many stories every
I think
week.
it's been happening for a really long time, but it's just in the news a lot more than it ever was before. Because you have to think of the worst case of that, which was Mary Kay Letourneau, right? Having a child with, what was he, 13 years old, her student, when she was
No,
like...
that just happened a few months ago that we talked about someone having it. Remember?
No, but I'm just
the
saying,
teacher
like...
that had custody of those kids and somehow the one got her pregnant, and wasn't he like 11 or something?
Yeah,
or
but
12?
I'm just trying to make the point that Mary Kay Letourneau was not the first teacher to ever have a relationship with her student, but it was the first highly publicized one. And I think ever since then, anytime something happens, it's definitely going to be in the news. I have definitely seen a lot of it lately. I just saw a story also that this stepmother was caught having a sexual relationship with her 15-year-old stepson. So that's like, what are people thinking?
I don't know that the whole women with the young boys thing has always been going on. Maybe it is, and I'm completely naive. I
think it's more popular than you are aware of, but
you think it's been for throughout time?
Well, I don't think older women just started having sexual relationships with younger men in the last 10 years. I think that's been happening in history.
I'm not talking about that though. Like I don't care if Cher's having sex with a 20-year-old or whatever. I don't mean that. I mean like
I'm
women
talking
having
about
sex with children.
Yeah, I'm talking about a pedophile situation.
Yeah, it's just really bizarre to me. I really don't understand it. But this case, so apparently this mom is claiming that she bought these Jello shots from Facebook to bring to a Christmas party at the children's school, the fifth grade kids' school. And the kids took some of these Jello shots. 15 students ended up getting sick, saying they had stomach aches, headaches. Kids were throwing up. One kid said that he passed out at school.
Well, one kid had 6 of them.
One kid had 6 of them. Could you imagine? Now, she's trying to blame it on this Facebook company. And I'm just like, dude, what is happening right now? First of all, Jello is like the easiest shit to make. Like if you can't make Jello, then and you have to buy it from somebody, you're like kind of a loser. Okay?
Well,
you have to boil water, that's it, and mix it in a bowl. There's no other art to it. It always works. You just have to be able to read and boil water, and water is free.
Have you met people today? They're extremely lazy. Regardless, it's weird to bring, even if I'm not saying I believe her story, but let's say she genuinely believed these were non-alcoholic. Why are you bringing anything into a school that represents or looks anything like something that is alcoholic? When are you ever eating just Jello in these small ramekin containers? Like, she must have thought they were a good snack for children. It was 5th grade. It's not like they were 3. It was bizarre in general to bring that as a snack.
It is bizarre.
The teachers
whole
even
thing
thought
is
it
so
was
bizarre.
weird. And they said they trusted her because she was a very involved parent. But, like, then they tasted some of them, and some of the teachers said they definitely could taste the alcohol. This was, of course, after the children were getting sick. So a couple of the teachers tasted them and recognized the alcohol taste. But depending on the flavor, you couldn't really taste the alcohol in it. The company or whoever made them, it seems like it was like somebody making them homemade and pushing them on Facebook.
You can't do this. Right? Like, I can't just be like, you know what? I'm going to start selling Jello shots on Facebook. Like, absolutely not. You cannot sell products that have alcohol in it to people on Facebook, okay? I know that. There's no way that you can.
So, yeah, this is like, I'm thinking it was a person, like a home baker, right? That might have had a page and been like, I make these things. But yes, it is, in my opinion, illegal. Like, to my belief, it's illegal to sell any alcoholic products unless you have all the proper licenses and everything, which I doubt this person had, considering the circumstances.
There's no way though. You couldn't even serve alcohol even if you had the proper things to do out of your house. There's no way.
So
the way that you have to get liquor licenses and shit just to be able to have people like bring their own beer to a restaurant. there's absolutely no way that regular people that are baking out of their house could do this.
So they're claiming that it was very clearly advertised that the Jello shots were made with Smirnoff vodka, which I would argue that they did advertise them. And regardless, if the mom really claims she didn't see them, you just think somebody's selling Jello in these like little takeout condiment containers?
I don't even understand the whole thing. Like, why would you ever have to buy Jello shots off of somebody? This is not a cake. There's no art to it. You just use vodka instead of cold water. Like I told you the magic secret. But
I want to have room in my heart to be like, maybe this person's just a huge airhead and like really didn't think
No.
it through. But
like,
this is
people
just
this
so
stupid
negligent.
should not have children, really, because like seriously, like my kids are this age. One's in 6th grade and one's in 4th grade. They're exactly this age. I would punch somebody if my kid was doing Jello shots at school like
And
this.
we're not talking about like you're having a 4th of July barbecue and you have them on the table and a kid
and a
happens
kid has
to get
one by accident. It's just like
you brought them into
it's
a
so
elementary
outrageous.
school.
And you're just like, dude, you shouldn't really be able to raise a child if you're this dumb.
This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
So last week we told you guys that we did a high profile death dissection on Virginia Giuffre, and we haven't heard anything else from that case. So we'll update it once we do, but that story just fell off real fast. Interesting enough. So the next few weeks we are covering, Maria, why don't you tell them, since it was your idea to dive deep on this topic, which we regret because it's so much information, but it also is so interesting.
I saw that Lori Vallow had been representing herself in court recently, so I thought it would be a really good deep dive to talk about the whole case and all the autopsies because there's just so much going on with that. But of course, we start writing it and it's just hours and hours and hours and hours of research, writing, and everything. But because of that, you guys are going to have a very thorough article to read through.
Listen, seriously, like I have to admit that I didn't really know much about that case because every single time I would hear it like on Nancy Grace or something, it just seemed so involved. And I was like, always, okay, I got to catch up on this and figure out who all these people are. And now that I really, especially that I've done the autopsy reports and started writing up them, I'm just like, holy shit, this case it's so messed up. And especially like death investigation in the United States as recently that when did this all go down? Like 2019 or something? Not too long ago, right?
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, like you will not believe that this stuff was happening just 6 years ago. It's just outrageous. So you guys really got to read that over the next couple weeks in the Gross Room.
Yeah, head over to thegrossroom.com to sign up.
All right, so I think that we've heard about this a couple times with people having the Apple Watch and either getting in a car accident or something happening that saves their life. Did I tell them the story about what happened with Gabe's dad?
No, but let's talk about the story first and then tell about what happened with Ron. So this man's claiming his Apple Watch saved his life after he had a stroke because it went into SOS mode before eventually calling 911.
All right, so the Apple Watch has a detection feature on it if you fall, on the newer Apple Watches anyway. So I guess that from the Apple website, it says that it detects if you fall when you're wearing your watch, and then there's a function on it that you could tap and say, I'm okay. And it sees if you're moving or not and waits for you to respond. And if you don't respond, it will automatically call emergency services to your location. And then once it calls emergency services, it will then send a message to your emergency contacts and let them know where your location is and said that your watch detected that there was a hard fall. And it happened. You could get it on your phone too, I guess, right?
Well,
So
yeah, because of the situation.
Because of the story I have to tell you guys, which I may have told you, but I'll tell again. But let's talk about this guy first. So this guy's young, 57 years old, physically active, and he's literally in his driveway doing jump roping because
he's recording the whole thing.
And recording the whole thing. And all of a sudden you see him jump rope and then he kind of falls down to the ground and he's having a hard time moving his leg and his arm. And he doesn't realize it at the time, but he was having a stroke. And on the video, you could see the emergency medical response team coming and taking care of him. It's so cool that you get to like watch the whole thing in real time, what's happening and how it helped him. And I mean, the guy's very healthy and stuff, but you know, it doesn't matter how healthy you are. If you eat, you exercise, whatever, there's genetics that you could have. And he had something wrong that he was taking blood thinners for whatever reason. And he was adjusting his medication at the time, which was causing his blood to apparently clot more. And just this physical exertion, this increase, because he was trying to like one up himself and jump rope a little bit harder than he normally did. And it raised his blood pressure and his heart rate, and it caused this blood clot to travel to his brain and get lodged, and it caused an ischemic stroke, which is when there's no oxygen getting to the brain for a specific amount of time. So luckily he was able, I mean, the best thing whenever you're having a stroke, the best thing is to get medical attention immediately. And I mean, I don't know how much faster he could have done it. And the scary thing is if he was all by himself at his house, like he could have died.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that these things do this for you. So tell the story about what happened with Ron.
Jeez. So I don't know exactly what happened, but I believe my sister-in-law texted me a screenshot that she got an alert that my father-in-law fell. And it said, we're letting you know that he fell. We haven't heard from him, and this is his location. So we look at the location, and it looks like it's just on a street near his house, and it's in the middle of the street. So we're like, what the hell happened? All this stuff. So we call his phone, nothing. We call his wife's phone, nothing. We're like psycho calling everybody that we know there, nothing. Okay. So then finally, my sister-in-law starts calling the hospital and saying, like, did my dad just get in an accident? I just got this alert that he fell. I don't know. Can you send police out there? This and that. It looks like it stopped right in the middle of this road.
I don't think it was that he fell. I think that it detected
that he fell.
Accident. No, a car accident.
It detected, yeah, whatever it is on the phone. Is it different on the phone than the watch?
Yeah, because
it's like a fall
if it was a fall on the phone, anytime you dropped your phone, it would send it. So it had to be
okay. So it was like a crash. Okay, then it was a
accident.
crash. Whatever it does on the phone. It's a similar function though. So she calls the hospital, and we know where he lives, so we call a couple of local hospitals, and they don't have anything on him. I think she called the police department too. They're like, we don't know. And finally, like, he gets back to us, and in typical my father-in-law fashion, he had put his phone on top of his car when he was leaving his driveway and drove away, and I guess that's when it decided to fall off of his car, and that was the crash that was detected. So we were very like, duh, of course this happened to you, because this is like in a string of things that he would normally do. But also we were very relieved to know that he was okay. But it was kind of cool that it let us know that something was wrong. But at the same time, we were like panicking for at least 15 minutes before we figured out what happened.
I thought it was like hours. Wasn't it like a long time?
No, I don't think it was hours. I don't think it was hours. I think that someone, we eventually got a hold of it, because I think that my mother-in-law was like not with him in her exercise class. And then when she got out and saw all the missed calls, and she saw that alert went off too, because she didn't know what was happening at the time either. But I think, I don't know how we figured it out. I don't think that it was that long though, but it was enough to make us be like, what the hell's going on?
I don't know. Like, I know a lot of people have hesitancy with these devices tracking everything about you, but if it could help save your life in this capacity, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely cool, and it helped this guy for sure.
All right, so this 31-year-old woman had been doing extreme body modification for about the last 4 years, which included horns in her forehead, black eyes, and a split tongue. So the most extreme thing she's done so far has been cutting her nose off.
So yes, she does this extreme body modification, and I don't know exactly why they wrote this article about her this week. I mean, whatever, it's interesting for sure. They interviewed her, said that was the most painful one she had done, was the removal of her nose. And we've talked about cases like this in the grocery room multiple times, about people that have body integrity dysphoria that intentionally cut off their limbs. Usually that applies to people that want to become disabled. Remember, weren't we talking about that one case that happened in Florida of that guy that was trying to pay someone to cut off his toes or something?
Yeah, on that show, It's Florida Man. I mean, that was like some weird fetish that guy had where he wanted somebody to cut his toes off and eat them in front of him. But we've had stories in the grocery room too of people that feel like their arm shouldn't be there, and then they have to go through all these psychiatric evaluations and talk to a bunch of doctors, and they end up getting their arms like cut off or their leg or whatever. So I definitely think it's part of the process she's doing, and I can see how you could get carried away with this. I mean, I really don't see this any differently than these women that get so much plastic surgery that their faces become deformed.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly where you draw the line of like this person has a dysphoria versus this is just a normal. I don't know if any of it's normal, maybe, but we could talk about that a little bit later. But exactly, like there's definitely people I see online that aren't tattooing themselves and not getting horns put in their heads and splitting their tongue and all that stuff. But when I look at them, I'm like, what the hell did you do to your body? Like, it looks crazy. So I guess the thing is like, if people want to do it, like, who makes the rule that says like this is like, think about people like Kardashians, right? Like, we know they've had so many cosmetic procedures. Who makes the rule that like, okay, they look good and then this girl that had her nose cut off doesn't look good? Like,
Well, yeah, I
who
think
makes the rule of like what is normal and what's not normal and stuff? And the same could be said with other things too, like people who do extreme weightlifting or extreme dieting or anything like that that do these crazy things to their body that look outrageous to some people. But like who's to say that is she any more messed up than like Michael Jackson for his surgery on his
Well,
face?
this
Because a
is
lot
what
of
I'm talking about. I think you get this addiction because you're getting so many procedures done and you're addicted to, the euphoric feeling you have after it's unveiled. And I think it's the same exact thing as these women that get all these procedures done to their face and then their faces end up caving in because they've had so much plastic surgery because they're addicted to getting the procedures done.
and it could even be said with fillers. I mean, recently I was at the mall with Lillian, and one of the women that waited on us, like I was just like, whoa, like sometimes it takes you back. And we left the store, and she's like, "What was wrong with that lady's face? Did she have that crazy plastic surgery?" Like my kid recognizes that stuff. Um, but people could do whatever they want to do. But like you were saying, like there's different reasons why people do it, and the body modifications and they do studies on this kind of stuff all the time. And like you were saying, it 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 actually works the same as like an opioid receptor would work on the brain, and it releases endorphins. It acts similarly to drugs, like an addiction. And like, have you ever heard of a runner's high? Like people
Yeah.
that push their body through stress and pain can become addictive because of the feelings that they get after they do it and stuff. So it could be some of that. And then also there's a lot of studies that have been done with people. They believe people with borderline personality disorder are more likely to have tattoos. I think they did a study once that said that 70% of the people in this large study had at least one ear pierce, which you're just like, okay, that's like that doesn't mean anything to me. And 70% of them had a tattoo. But then you're just like, but what does that mean? Is that a person that's heavily tattooed, or is that like a grandma that has a butterfly on her ankle? Like, so because so many people are tattooed now. So and there's also been associations with childhood abuse and neglect with people that get modifications. So there's like a lot of different factors that go into it. But I don't know, like if she wants to look like that, and like I think it's weird that there's any physician that would cut someone's nose off or whatever. But it's kind of the same as like, I mean, I got like my skin cut off of my stomach because it was hanging after I had a baby. Like, what's the difference?
It's not your choice. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, what makes it like, okay, your nose, your stomach, whatever. Like, it's still a body part you're getting cut off because you want it to look better. And if she thinks it looks better, then whatever.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go for it and cut my nose off, but I'm also not going to go for it and get a million injections of filler in my face either. So, like, you could argue, like, I think one version, like you're bringing up the Kardashians, they might not be as heavily criticized because
Well,
aesthetically,
they're pretty
aesthetically
heavily
it
criticized.
no, but aesthetically it presents on what's more accepted in society. But like at the end of the day, they still push the limit with it. So I think if this is what this chick wants to do, go for it. Like it's not my body and it's not my decision. So like everybody's gonna judge you anyway for what you look like no matter what. So at least be happy in your own skin. But I guess she's saying that people are scared of her not only because of how she presents, but because she keeps all of her body parts she gets removed in little jars.
Well, whatever. I would do that too if I was doing that, I guess.
Yeah, and some people will think you're a
I
freak
like
for doing
I
that. And
totally
some
would have
people think
kept a
it's
piece.
cool.
I would have kept a piece of my stomach if I wasn't in Florida and I had a way to like preserve it until I got home, but like I wasn't really worried about that. Whatever. I don't know. Like listen, if you're gonna look like that, you can't sit there and be like, oh, people think I'm a freak. Like, yeah, that's going to happen. So you're making that choice as an adult that you're doing this.
Well,
And
I
like,
don't think it bothers her. It seemed from the article that she's developed a pretty thick skin about it. But like, if you're gonna A, do it, and then B, post a million pictures of you online, anybody that posts their picture online should be prepared that some asshole is gonna have a problem with you. Because that's just the way the world works today.
it's just crazy because, and I feel like, God, I have extreme body modification with all my tattoos, but like some of these people, like I think about people like Kardashians, and I just use them as an example because I feel like they were the first family to really like be. It's just a very interesting case study, you would say, because they started out as younger people and you were able to see like what they really looked like as kids and as young people and how they have transformed over the past 20 years or whatever it's been. So I use them as an example, but there's certainly other people that look just as has just as much work done as they do. But like when these people are like 80 years old, like what are they going to look like? Or this lady that got her nose cut off and has horns and stuff, like,
Yeah, but everybody says that about you with your tattoos too.
I know,
So
and
it's like,
I'm concerned about.
yeah, now, but when you're young and doing it.
No, I 100%. You don't think about it until you're old, and then all of a sudden you think about it. Like that's the story of life, right?
All right, let's move on to questions of the day. Every Friday at the @MotherKnowsDeath Instagram account, you guys can head over to our story and ask us whatever you want. First, have you received tonsils in pathology that were full of tonsil stones?
Yes, all the time. So the tonsils are like filters in the back of your throat that are supposed to. They're kind of a part of your immune system, the first line of defense to catch things before you swallow or inhale them as much as possible. And sometimes that debris that you swallow, especially kids, like my kid gets these tonsil stones all the time because she constantly has this postnasal drip snot going down the back of her throat at all times, no matter what medications we give her. And that kind of stuff can accumulate in the little crypts that are in the tonsils. The crypts are kind of the filter part of the tonsil. And when this stuff accumulates, it could calcify and get hard, like a little stone. And like with my daughter's case, she can pop them out. And I posted pictures maybe on Instagram, but definitely in the gross room of my daughter's tonsil stones, and they're freaking big. What do you want to say? They're the size of like a blueberry or something. Like they're kind of big to be in your tonsil, which is kind of a small thing.
Yeah.
So yes, when we get tonsils removed from children and adults that have chronic tonsillitis, we oftentimes see these little stones within the crypts when we're cutting them.
Well, you also had that situation where she got an X-ray and they saw something in her stomach.
Oh yeah, because she got an X-ray on her hip because her hip was sore for a week or two, and she had a foreign body, they said, that was in her colon. And through investigation with Christy, we decided that it was a tonsil stone that she swallowed, which was calcified though, so it shows up on imaging.
All right, 2. My dad had 5 spleens. Is that common?
Yeah, it's common, believe it or not. Maybe not 5, but I've seen. So it's called an accessory spleen, or they're called splenoliculi. I can't even say the words. I always thought they're so cute though, when you see them at autopsy. So the person always has their main spleen, and then you see these other little ones around. And it's kind of it's like one of they're like favorite little things to find at autopsy. These little like anatomic mess ups or hiccups that you have when you're developing as a fetus. So when you're developing as a fetus, the spleen is in multiple parts and it kind of all comes together to form one spleen. But during your development as a fetus, sometimes it doesn't all come together. So you'll have like little pieces of the spleen around your abdomen. I think the most I've seen is like 3 or 4, so 5 is a lot. But it's estimated, the medical journals anyway say that 30% of people, they find them in 30% of autopsies. But like everyone doesn't get autopsied, and people don't typically have pathology with them, so the true incidence of them are really not known because everybody doesn't get CT scans and MRIs and stuff throughout their life, so you don't really know how many. But they're cute little things, and what I love about it the most is when I was doing an autopsy and I would come across them is when there was medical students there, and I would be like, "Oh my God, what do you think this is?" And they just never knew. And then when you said it, you're like, they would say, "Oh, that's what that looks like," and you're like, "Yeah, that's what that is. It's
I
just
love
an
how
accessory spleen."
I love how you're referring to them as cute.
They're cute because they're like a little version of the bigger spleen, but they look the same. And if you cut them, the tissue looks exactly the same. They're just like little mini baby spleens.
All right, let's move on to the last question. If you could magically erase all of your tattoos but one, which one would you keep?
My leg, I would erase. My leg kind
No,
of
you
ruins
have
my
to
life.
you have to erase all of them and keep one.
Oh, erase all of them and keep one? I don't really know, honestly.
Yeah,
Do you know, do you have one that's like
I
I don't have one that I'm like, "Oh, this is my favorite thing ever, that I would only want this one." But I definitely know which ones I would get rid of.
no, that I feel the same way. I know which ones I'd get rid of. Like, I don't think we really get tattoos for a lot of people get them for like meanings or memorials, something like that. Like, I don't really have any like that. Mine are just
I have
art.
a lot like that, but I don't like, what am I going to just pick one? I have one for each of my kids. I have a couple, I think I have a lot with Gabe actually. 5 maybe, me and Gabe have matching ones. But so like, how do you just pick one? I don't know which one is like the most special to me in that situation.
Well, I'm also looking at location because like a lot of them I have in like a cohesive way, you know? So if I got rid of all of the ones around it, it would be like in a really awkward spot. So,
Be like rando.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know we're
They
supposed
need
to
to
answer the
rephrase this
question.
question. Which one would you get rid of? But
I
I
mean,
really don't know. Like, I'd have to pick my kids, and I'd have to pick 3 of them at least. So I don't have like a joint one that's like all my kids. They're all individual. And 2 of my kids are on my neck. I don't think, and like, if I could get rid of them, I probably would. So I don't know. Not my kids, my my tattoos. So I don't
okay,
know.
the next Lori Vallow over here just making statements. I don't know. Oh my god, that case is so insane. I regret suggesting we
It's at,
cover it,
like,
but
listen, see, to me, because I do it on the back end, and I know that you're like more of the investigator person to see, and you always get tripped up by the criminal, and I'm tripped up by, like, I can't believe how the death investigations were so screwed up in all of these people. Like, it blows my mind, because when you guys read this death dissection that we're doing over the course of the next couple weeks, you're just going to be like, "Oh my God, so many people get murdered in the United States and get away with it." It's just outrageous. They
yeah.
have to, because when you read this, you're just like, "Okay, these people are getting murdered, and the only reason that they even found out is because of something else. Like, they almost got away with it a lot of times." So kids are a little bit different, because we were talking about this last episode. Like, somebody always is like, want to know where a kid is, a missing kid.
Well,
Kids
yeah.
just don't go missing like that. And like, that's when they got tipped off to all their shit, though. Like, they kind of were living life before that. But they got greedy, and that's how they got caught. But you just have to imagine how many people are getting away with this. It's insane.
Well, we're really only covering the 4 main murders in this case, but there's really been, I feel like, 7 or 8 deaths associated with this couple. And you have
Well,
to
I mean, this is just real life, though. Over time, like, people die, and if this case has been
but all
they've
these
been on the
people
radar.
died in like a 2-year period.
No, I know, but they've been on the radar since 2019. These people, basically.
Well, yeah, for
these
crime,
particular
but
ones. So it's just like, I mean, that was 6 years. So like, people might die. But like,
no,
yeah,
I'm talking in the 2-year period. They were being like,
Yeah.
like from the time things started getting weird till the time they were arrested, like 8 people died in their life. And
Yeah,
you have
so-
to look at that and
and
be
be
like,
like,
what's happening?
yeah.
I don't know. That case, we're covering it for 3 weeks, so it's clearly very involved. We've never done a 3-part before, but there's just so much.
Well, Princess Diana should have been 3 parts, but somehow I squished it into one, so it's like a freakishly long read.
That one is really long because when you first did it, I wasn't working with you yet, and you were like, I love her, so you were like, oh, read this, and I feel like it took like hours to read it.
I know.
was
I
really
can't I
long.
can't even believe I whipped that out in 2 days. I mean, it was like 2 8-hour shifts, but I got it out. So, all right.
All right, well, thank you guys so much. We will see you with tomorrow's episode. Please don't forget to leave us a review on Apple or Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have a story for us, please submit it to stories@motherknowsdeath.com or shoot us a message on Instagram.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day, and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.